I don't really have an intro, so let's just go ahead and get started with this. I want to go ahead and thank everybody for listening. This is going to be episode one of my quote unquote podcast, and I'm going to name it Odd Thoughts. So I appreciate you spending the time listening to me when you could be out buying some crazy toilet paper or panic buying stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and keep these podcasts probably within about 10-15 minutes, maybe even less sometimes. Just want to share thoughts because there's a lot that's always clanking around in this brain. So a few topics that I want to kind of talk about today. Obviously, there's some big ones around the virus and the markets and all that. So that's going to be the topic for this week. And what I'll start off with is the market. So it was about 2 months ago or so. It's been a wild ride recently, but there was the point where everybody started getting really comfortable about investing and buying dividend stocks and all this stuff, and I started seeing it more prevalent on suggested YouTube videos, within circles of friends and all that stuff, and it kind of made me think, okay, great, everybody's getting really comfortable about investing again, and this is great. People, in my opinion, need to focus a little bit more on what they do with their money so that when situations like this happen, they're well aware that they're possible and they know what to do. The last thing you really want to do, especially with money, is panic. And if there's anything that I've wanted to try to teach people over the last few years, as far as trading and stocks go, is the last thing that you want to do is to be panicking. And some of the best trades I've ever made is watching a stock chart, and that stock chart all really is human emotions. So, once you kind of drill that down to its basic premise of, when things are not calm and when things are wild in the markets, a stock chart is literally the sentiment of the people at that given time. And nothing really gave that more precedence than the last few days. You can kind of see it in the emotional state of the day before yesterday, and the close on Friday. You had the Fed injecting $1.5 trillion in the market, and you can clearly see it. And for those that aren't watching this on YouTube, if I can figure out how to even make a video file of this, for now I'll just post it on YouTube, is you have everybody who's sitting, focusing on the markets, day traders that are waiting for something that's like a positive news event. But then you have the entire rest of everybody else that's currently calling their 401k providers, freaking out about the markets, and they don't know what to do. So when you get the Fed that comes out and says, oh, we're going to throw 1.5 trillion at this, you get this monster spike for, 10 minutes? But once that spike goes away and everything pauses as far as all that buying power, the previous 3, 4, 5 days that have been going on with massive sell pressure continue to take hold. And it's almost impossible to trust these rallies on that news. Yeah, it's firing a big gun that once we pass this is going to make a big economic difference. I don't think we're going to have a V-shaped recovery. We're probably going to have a big, everybody calls it a U-shaped recovery. I'm going to call it a W-shaped recovery. But when you see those spikes, yeah, it's something that you could trade if that's what you do with your life, like I do. But be aware, emotions are still what's at the forefront. Everybody's kind of freaking out. Understandably, this is one of the first legit things that's been a scary thing since probably 2009, and on the scale of worse than Y2K, because it's all happening so much faster. Everything in this world, because of information, happens so much faster, and people don't really understand that. It's pretty clear to people that look at the markets, look at the news day to day, and they're so laser focused on this, like that traders do. We understand it. We kind of get it, and taking advantage of that is how we make our living. So to kind of go off of that subject, that monster late day rally wasn't so much because of, in my opinion, what Trump said. It was, and I'm not making this political, it's just pure facts, is the doctor that really explained everything the best. Listening to that person speak really gave some I would say hope in the market, saying, okay, at least we've kind of figured this out. We're going to do something, and testing is the first step. And the market obviously loved that. This weekend has a whole lot to bring with it, but I wouldn't be somebody who wants to be long into this move going into a weekend where you just don't know what is going to happen. So, the best thing I can really say to anybody that is new to the markets, because I've gotten quite a few new followers, is in times of uncertainty, people are just going to sell, and that they're just going to sell everything to what they know is going to work for them, and that is cash. And that kind of leads me on to my next subject, which is what everybody in the crypto sphere has been hoping for in a weird, kind of twisted way, is to see what happens to Bitcoin when markets crumble. Obviously some are going to say, oh, well, it wasn't the whole financial part of, 2008, 2009. Markets weren't functioning properly. We couldn't send money back and forth. To me, it proved that Bitcoin in itself is not, 100% is not a safe haven asset. It is a risk-on asset. And you can look back at, human emotions and all that through 2007, after 2006, and you can clearly see that even the regular stock market was just flying, absolutely on a tear during 2006 after that election. It was one of the weirdest years I had ever seen. Since I've been doing this since 2010. I mean, the market literally went straight up the entire year. There was maybe 1 or 2 days of, a 0.5% move down, but for the most part, it was straight up. And I remember talking to people saying, this is not normal. Markets just don't go straight up for an entire year without any type of a pullback. So, it kind of manifested itself was that if the markets are this easy, let me tell you, where's some risk on that I can put? And, that was Bitcoin. And I think that was a big part of that run-up that happened during 2017. It was risk on. Everybody was making money. Markets were going straight up. Why not try and press your luck with this new technology, quote unquote, that most people have no idea what it really is in the first place. And let's see if we can make some money. And then you get the herd mentality. So, somebody says, oh, I just made double my money on Bitcoin from 700 to 1,000, and that just gets more and more people talking about it. And it's that mass psychology thing that once everybody's doing it, you probably want to stop doing it. There was a tweet not too long ago that I made, is that if you're scared to buy something, it's probably, in generalization to the stock market, it's probably a great time to buy it. And that means if you're not super comfortable with buying it. If you're really excited to buy something, like, oh, this Tesla stock is just going through the roof. It's at 600, it's at 900, it's almost 1,000. I should buy it. I got to get in. No. And that's the problem, is that when people get really excited about buying something, especially a stock, they let that greed and optimism take over, when you just need to have a level head and say, just take a look at it and see, oh, where did it come from? Oh, it just went from essentially a bottom of 180 to 920 in less than a year. Is that really something you want to buy at $850 for the long term? No. In my humble opinion, no. I'm not going to give financial advice during this podcast or whatever I'm trying to do here. Brain explosion on the internet, I guess is what maybe I'll call it. But just use some common sense. Things that go straight up are going to come down, and they may not come straight down, but just use your head. Anyways, back on to the whole Bitcoin thing is for the last 7-8 years, basically since it was invented, people wanted to know what would happen in an economic downturn. Would people rush to the safe haven asset of Bitcoin? And I agree, it's based purely off of math. I wanted to see what would happen. And we found out what happened. It dropped 50% in one day. That, to me, unequivocally proves that it's not a safe haven asset. It proves that it's a risk-on asset. So, going forward, kind of knowing that, if markets are rallying really, really strong, what are people going to pay over the intrinsic value of Bitcoin, which it essentially tapped at about $4,000 the other day, and rallied $1,700 in the matter of 10 minutes, because I think selling was exhausted, and you just get those bounces where there's once the last person sells, it's like a spring. Same thing in the markets overall. So to me now going forward, Bitcoin is I almost said it. Not that it's a slip of the tongue, but Bitcoin is literally a risk-on asset. So if there's no enthusiasm in the markets, nobody's going to take that risk. They want to be in something that they know that they can withdraw that cash out, go to the bank and buy their toilet paper rolls, or whatever their choice of panic buying is, which kind of leads me to this. I mean, some of these pictures that you see are online of panic buying and what people choose. I had this discussion with a guy in line the other day when I went to just go make my normal, trip. And it was the busiest I'd ever seen our local supermarket. I mean, there was 10 carts deep, every open aisle, and lines wrapped around, walls. So, and I was talking to this guy, and he essentially says to me, he's like, this is crazy. I was like, oh, I know. But to me, it makes a little bit of sense because once, monkey see, monkey do. Once people start doing that they see online, they're going to go do it themselves because they think that's the safe thing to do. Yet again, leading back to human psychology. So, so I was like, well, I don't understand why people are buying, 2 years worth of toilet paper rolls. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much you guys go to the bathroom, but, one pack of whatever lasts me months. So like a Costco size. And it's irrational because I see people that bought a ton of toilet paper, so they go buy a bunch of toilet paper. Same thing goes with water. Water makes a little bit more sense. Buy a little extra maybe for 2 months, but you're probably going to use it. You're going to use the toilet paper eventually. You're going to use that water eventually, and that's the point. Is that those items that people are rushing to buy probably have a shelf life of essentially forever. Which I'm not going to claim to know where this virus thing goes and what's all about, but just be aware of. You're putting yourself now, if you're in one of these cities that's at risk, you're putting yourself in the situation of with all these people at the same time to maybe catch it. Who knows? God forbid you don't, but just be aware of what you're doing. Take a deep breath, kind of calm down. It looks like most of the stores get restocked within a day or two, and it's crazy. Some of the videos on these testing things, which is one of the ones that I have right here because I pulled it up on the hashtag, is that, people are getting in line to get tested. Makes sense. Like if you have a sore throat or if you're, whatever, it's that tail end of that flu season anyways, you might as well go get checked. So it's just a weird situation. It's a weird time for me to even start making this podcast to begin with. Crazy times, I guess, is a good reason to start anything. But I've always liked sharing my thoughts. I like answering questions, which, I'm sure I'm going to open it up for many on the next one. I'll probably have some, guests, which I would love to have, having those type of discussions with other people that I view as, educated, smart, intelligent, experts in their field, that type of stuff. I love having those frank conversations because I'm the person that's very skeptical about everything that I read. And skepticism is very good. I'm a very good, I wouldn't say necessarily person to talk to. That's not the wording that I'm looking for. I love having conversations with people that, have a point of view because I try to see from other people's point of view. So, it's a very interesting, thing that hopefully I'll bring to you guys for this. The last thing that I want to talk about is something I just watched, which kind of made me a little angry. So it's this new episode. So they just released it on Netflix. I think it was like 6 new episodes of Dirty Money, which those are the type of things I love to watch. I watched the Wells Fargo one, which I kind of already knew about. But the one that really got me was this Guardians Inc. episode, which blew my mind. So the story is essentially of this gentleman who had, several $1 million in property. I'm not going to give away the whole thing, but the laws that were used to extract his wealth in the vicious way that it was done. Whew. That's an episode that I would definitely watch on the weekend. 55 minutes, really gives you a point of view of, people that just prey on other people, and it was terrifying. So if there's one thing you want to do, spend an hour while you're on your social distancing episode for this month, is I would definitely watch that. I'll probably watch the other ones on there as well. The Slumlord Millionaire and the Dirty Gold ones look pretty good. So if you guys enjoyed this, go ahead and leave a comment. I'm going to post this probably just on YouTube, and leave a thumbs up, all that good stuff. I am, and this is the only way I'm going to, if people want to, if it gets popular, I don't know, is I accept basic attention tokens. So I'm not going to promote it, but there's a little button if you use Brave, which is a browser I love. I can go into that on a different podcast if you want. It's a quick way to tip, and it's private and it's secure, and that's about it. If you guys have any suggestions or anything else, let me know, and have a good rest of the weekend.